we are back. Apologies if it's a slightly different camera, etc. I've had to switch from my iPad because it's dying. So now we're on phone. So yes, hello, Chris and Ellie here again. It is March 24th now, so we are on day 4 of lockdown, basically. Day 2 of full actual, neither of us leaving the house for work, etc. Type lockdown. But
we did go out for our one exercise though, didn't we, today?
Yes, we walked the dog, which was actually really nice because the weather's really nice right now. Which, although is kind of tempting people out of their houses, it does mean that you can at least sort of sit in the garden, which I took advantage of quite sweetly. My mum sent me a text today just to be like, make sure you sit in the sunshine for at least 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, actually, I'm already out there with a cup of tea. But yeah.
Got your vitamin D, didn't you?
Got my vitamin D, yeah. Which I actually already take supplements for anyway. But that's mainly because usually I work in a basement and I'm basically nocturnal. So I don't see much sunlight anyway. But yes, also today, makeup on for you. You're welcome. We went out and walked the dog and came back and I had a shower and I just thought I feel like putting a face on, so I did. I kind of think it's kind of important to still sort of make an effort a bit. And if I'm getting dressed anyway, because it'd be very easy to go full feral.
Feels like you're dropping hints. I have made no effort with my appearance.
I wasn't dropping hints, but if that's how you're interpreting it, then you do with that what you will. No, it was mainly because today I kind of pointed out I slept for about 12 hours last night, but I did wake up not in pain and feeling fairly productive. So when that happens, anyone out there who has any chronic illnesses will attest to this. You've kind of got to go, oh crap, I feel like I can do stuff, so I better do stuff. So today has been one of those days. No doubt tomorrow I will feel the aftermath, but for now I was like, yeah, okay, right, let's do some stuff, let's go for a walk. The walk might have been a little bit ambitious because I sort of forgot how steep the hill up to. We took the dog around the woods that are near my house, which are lovely up there. They're quite small, but there's lots of different paths that you can take which kind of meander around, so even though the woods themselves aren't that large, you can sort of take lots of different routes around them. But the hill to actually get in them is steeper than I remembered, and it's not a good sign if you are not yet in the woods that you're taking the dog for a walk and you're already saying, oh Jesus Christ, which I was. So yeah, my legs are not going to thank me for that tomorrow. But I got out in the sunshine, also sat in the garden, which was very lovely, very briefly. I was sat in the garden with a big cup of tea, really enjoying the sunshine and properly zenning out, just kind of going like, and then Poppet dropped a dead mouse at my feet. So I guess at least it was dead, because when they're like nearly dead, that's even more upsetting. But that did take the edge off the like, oh, this is nice. Oh, that's not nice. Ugh.
And then one of our other cats, Arthur, decided he was going to go and play with a mouse corpse for a bit.
Yeah, well, I'm convincing myself it was the same mouse. It possibly was not the same mouse.
He's sat over there in his basket looking like butter wouldn't melt. But then you look back and there's runny butter everywhere with cat prints in it. Butter would melt. That is the naughtiest cat I have ever known. But yeah, they're not big enough yet to be as good at the sort of ruthless killing machines as my older 2 cats are. But they're learning from the best, so that's nice. Because not enough needless and unnecessary deaths going on at the moment, guys. Cheers for that. On that, well, that's making light of obviously quite a dark note, but on that dark note, I think let's get the dark bit out early. Right. One of the very sobering things that we heard today actually popped up on my Facebook feed, so it was actually just from the local authority, which is it's Newport County Council here. An announcement to everyone in the borough that for the foreseeable future, due to the virus, etc., all funerals may only be attended by up to a maximum of 5 close relatives to the deceased, the person running the funeral, and the funeral director. And that is it. That also goes for cremations and graveside burials. So when people die from this. We're not going to be able to market as well as we would usually. And that was a bit sobering. That was a bit of that's a right kick up the bum in terms of a reality check on an otherwise good day, where I was sort of avoiding too much in terms of knowing about the outside world.
There's the other thing, we're in Newport, which, despite being quite a small city, is the hardest hit area in the UK outside of London.
Yes, that was also quite remarkable. Because obviously London has several million people in it. I don't know what our population is, but it is not a lot in Newport. So I don't know if I'm assuming that was by population density, but the statistic was just sort of in terms of rates of infection. Newport Borough is the hardest hit next to London, which is balmy. That's not what you expect from a small city. And also, like, your original thinking was, well, we're the first sort of city into Wales along the south anyway, so you kind of think, oh well, maybe it's just that England's quite densely populated and it's the sort of overflow, so no wonder for the like most place in Wales that maybe it made sense because it's less isolated than perhaps further along west. But no, because we're doing better than Bristol in terms of the COVID stats, so it's just popped up.
Bristol.
Suck it, Bristol. Yeah, that's something to not show off about. But so yeah, don't know quite why. A friend of mine, a Facebook friend of mine, but I do know him in reality, Jim, is sort of keeping on top of the stats and posting sort of quite a helpful Wales-centric board of stats every day on Facebook, and it's sort of broken down into health boards in Wales. And he mentioned that the person in Newport who, one of our first cases that was confirmed was somebody who worked in the Office of National Statistics, which is here. And so it seems like that's probably where it sort of started, and that's a very big office with a lot of people, and whoever perhaps first got that must have been intermingling with more people than most people with this infection do. And I think he used the phrase super spreader, which I guess might be someone who's particularly infectious or particularly sociable. So someone who is intermingling with lots of people before they knew they had it, while life was still relatively normal. Also, so a nice little thing that popped up today was it's been a week or 10 days or so since the Cheltenham Festival, which they didn't cancel. So that was 250,000 people all mingling there, admittedly in the outdoors, but still in crowds. And people who were there are now piping up on social media going, oh yeah, I've now probably got corona, or I have got corona, and I was at Cheltenham not that long ago. So be careful, folks. And I was like, bit too late for that, guys. You probably shouldn't have gone. And also, shame on the organisers for letting that still go ahead, because we knew well enough by then not to let that happen. So that's not impressive. That's not cool. And that will have led to unnecessary infections for sure.
Meanwhile, there's still ongoing stuff with people continuing to do things they shouldn't be doing. Not least the head of Sports Direct, whose name escapes me, but
Let's not name him.
He's said that he's declared Sports Direct an essential service, so he's keeping all his stores open, forcing his staff to still go into work, still be commuting and mingling.
That is a dick move. Who tops him for dick moves?
Well, I don't know.
I can think of one.
I don't know if it's on a par, because anyway, but your man from Wetherspoons, the CEO,
Tim Martin, the delight that he is, has said basically, if we have to shut, everyone's shut, nobody's getting paid, go work in Tesco's. So other companies have done the right thing, but also this is knowing that the government have said they will cover 80% of everyone's pay. It's just going to take a little bit of time to implement those plans and make that happen.
So knowing
that, he could just say, go off,
home,
I'll pay you 80%.
And it wouldn't cost him a penny.
It wouldn't cost him a penny.
And instead of that,
he's gone, nah, screw you all. I'm just going to sit on my pile of money like a dragon and screw you all. So he, there's a special circle in hell for him.
Yeah.
I already hated him, but now I think he's especially vile.
So if that's the way you treat your employees, then you have lost all perspective on how you got to be rich, and you're a scumbag. So
and we'll add them to the list of people to boycott once all this is over.
yes, one thing I am hoping happens from all this. Previously, obviously, life ticking on as normal, and everybody's got their whatever their political leaning is, and if you're more sort of like lefty liberal like us, and like, hey, let's all help each other out, that's fine. There's other people who are sort of more like, hey, I'll look after me and my own, and everybody else, every man for themselves, etc. Whatever. When there's a big crisis like this, I think that's the point at which you start seeing people you know and care about going through situations that you just think, well, somebody could have helped this, like their employer could have looked out for them better, and they haven't. And so I hope when all of this is over that people remember companies like Wetherspoons and Sports Direct and don't go to them. There will be a million other pubs and chains and things, and there'll be small obviously I'm all for supporting small independents if you can, but if you're going to go to big chains, pay attention to who's looked after their employees and who basically gave them a big F you, because
the thing is, we live in Newport where there's Le Pub and Tiny Rebel, which are really nice pubs, do good drinks and good food, so we're quite spoiled in that regard.
Yeah.
But I do travel all over the country doing gigs, live comedy, and if you are travelling about, there's a Wetherspoons everywhere. You know what you're going to get. The drinks are quite cheap, and the food is quite cheap and surprisingly good a lot of the time. And so you end up going to these, like support small independent businesses. But
yeah, if
you're on the
you're
road,
somewhere you
you're in a
don't
hurry.
know, you go somewhere familiar. But from now on, let's not go there.
Because that's the thing, is it's very convenient and easy, but yeah, it's easy to uphold your principles when it's easy.
Yeah.
But doing things when it's not convenient is, that's what principles are, right? So, I won't be going to Wetherspoons after this.
No. Not that I particularly went to Sports Direct much anyway, but I won't be going there. But yeah, I won't be going to Wetherspoons. But I hope more people who are feeling the pinch right now and also have friends and family who are going through it, just remember that big employers had the opportunity to make this easier for their staff, or harder, or just abandon them entirely, and we should remember who treated people like that, because people are not a commodity. These people are the people who are the reason you are rich. They are the reason that you live so well, and if you treat your employees like that, then essentially you're an absolute scumbag and you don't deserve to have all of the stuff that they have worked for you. So
Richard Branson as well sent a load of staff home unpaid.
Yeah, we asked them if they would take unpaid leave.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you've got billions.
And then also,
billions!
Despite not paying his staff, was still asking for billions of compensation from the government. When, like you say, he's got billions, and there's many individuals who are like self-employed and things, people I know who are suffering and could do with the money much more than Richard Branson. And let's not forget, Richard Branson sued the NHS a while back, so... maybe add Richard Branson to your shit list.
He can go there too. Yeah. Right. Screw you, Richard Branson. Screw you. I guess, let's take it to somewhere slightly nicer. In terms of, we do know quite a few self-employed people who are struggling, and people are kind of coming up with inventive ways to make money and inventive ways to sort of stay in touch with each other. And one of the things that I think was really good, which I think is taking off, was a friend of ours who's a really great comedian, Ignacio Lopez. He hosted a pub quiz on Saturday night, which I think he's posting another one on Facebook. So I think it's facebook.com/comedylopez. But double check on that. But if you write Ignacio Lopez and you know how to spell it, find that.
Comedy Lopez on Twitter and Instagram and things, so, and if you can find him there, he'll be publicising it and letting people know.
That was really fun, and I think at one point there were well over 1,000 of us all playing, and that was really fun because it did feel kind of like a pub quiz. So we had a couple of teething problems because we were trying to play it as a quiz, but in several different locations. So it was a few of us. So it was me and Chris here, my brother Al, obviously in another place, our friend Sarah in another, and my mum in her place. And we were all trying to play it as a team, and that felt good. Like there were a few tech issues that we struggled with. They're going, what's going on? I've lost the video, blah blah blah. But that was our fault, not
Igs. And actually, it did sort of feel like a pub quiz. It did feel, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a huge pub quiz fan under normal circumstances because I find them a little bit too stressful. But Chris and my brother and my mum all go to a pub quiz regularly, and it's quite nice to keep those sorts of habits going, just in a different way. So then tonight, Al, one of my brothers, he set up his own just little WhatsApp pub quiz, and surprisingly gave away a very nice prize, which I'm particularly pleased about because we won it.
Should we say what that?
I don't know. Maybe keep it stum.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we'll keep stum on that. But it was a good prize, so well done, Al. Thanks for that. But yeah, sort of little things like that sort of gave us all. Again, I think we mentioned it before, but having a place that you needed to be. Well, not a place. You knew the place you were going to be at home, but something you had to be doing at a certain time, which kind of meant when we were out walking the dog, we sort of thought, okay, well, when we get back, it'll probably be time. I'll have a quick shower, you'll get the dinner on.
Make sure we've eaten in plenty of time. And it's, I think we said the other day, but it's
good
it's
helpful
for time to still have some sort of meaning.
Yeah, definitely.
I wasn't being rude, by the way. I was looking at my phone, but I was just looking up another event that I wanted to promote, if that's all right.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, and to our small
You can't stop
viewership.
us. You can't stop us.
Because there's a comedy club in Bristol called How Lazy Is He Comedy Night at the Lazy Dog pub in Bristol, and obviously they've had to cancel all their forthcoming events, but they're doing a sort of live virtual gig. You can buy a ticket for it. It costs £6, and they'll be streaming. Tony, who runs the club, will be doing an introduction from his living room, and then they're going to broadcast the world premiere of Frank Foucault's Shoes, which is a stand-up special that they recorded earlier, last year I think, might even have been 2018 now, but anyway, they recorded it in a full venue with an audience, and it's going to have all the nice atmosphere you'd expect, and it's not going to be topical. So it's going to be a bit of escapism from what's going on. But it's
I'm
going to be
looking forward to that. Yeah, that's going to be good.
It's not been available on streaming services or anywhere else. It's the first time anyone's going to get a chance to see it. And Frank Foucault is very funny, very unique comedian. So if you want to support a comedy club and feel like you're doing something a bit different and part of something and doing something sociable with other people.
Yeah. I think you said it was only like £6, isn't it? So
yeah, £6.
Considering that you'd spend more than that if you were at the pub for something like that, then I think like £6 not too bad. Because, we are aware, obviously, money is tight. If you are in the sort of group of people who've got the 80% cover, or at least know that's coming, then I'm kind of a little bit relieved by that, because I just sort of think, well, 80%, like, obviously that's a big cut, but also maybe the outgoings aren't as much as well, so it'll roughly even out. That's something that you can... There's lots of things like that going on, so even if that's not particularly your bag... Get on Facebook, get on Twitter, see what's going on. Because actually, I think loads of people really are going above and beyond. There was another really lovely thing. I think there's a company called Sofa Stage Wales. I don't know if they were always going or if they've sprung up due to this, I'm afraid. But they are hosting lots of different live streaming things for all sorts. Basically, they've just kind of gone, if you're a creative type and you want to do something, let us know and we'll put stuff on. They've been doing story readings for kids. So I think somebody did a sort of dramatic reading of Roald Dahl's The Twits. I think some other people have sort of live streamed like DJ sets and stuff, and some musical things going on, and get involved. Quite a lot of this stuff's free, and it's at a certain time, which I think, like we say, is kind of helpful to sort of have a sense of like being connected with reality, and sort of like just sort of make time still have meaning, is good.
Make time still have meaning.
Make time still have meaning.
That's
the
t-shirt.
Catchy. Make time still have meaning. It's not my pithiest line ever, but it's only my first glass of wine. That's a lie, actually. That's my second glass of wine. That's pretty good for me, though. They were all blurring into one.
For me, I'll be still here when she's finished the bottle.
Yeah.
Normally I go out to work at that point.
Oh, yeah, it's funny because it's true. Anyway, my problematic drinking aside, so what else were we wanting to talk about?
I'll tell you what else.
Yeah.
Because I got up before you this morning.
That's also usual.
I had an experience, this is an aside, but I think it's probably an experience a lot of people are having right now, is that I woke up feeling a bit stuffy, and I had a bit of a sore throat and a bit of a cough, and of course I thought the worst, and I thought, oh, here it comes. But then woke up a bit, had a bit of water and things, and cough cleared up, and it was just literally I had a dry throat. But I'm sure that's something a lot of people, because there's going to be all the usual bugs going around that you normally come in the winter. There's going to be just people with flu, people with a cough or a bug, or just people like me who just haven't had enough to drink. And so I'm sure everyone's
literally every little thing that my body does, I'm like hyper aware of it. So like a sneeze or a cough or just like any sensation, I'm just like, is that the start? Because it also,
I'm hyper aware of every little thing your body does.
No.
That's the reaction I was looking for.
Oh, be still, my heart. Save it, Babs. Lost my thread on that one, haven't I? Right, yes. So I've been reading again, and like I sort of mentioned, I'm trying to limit too much sort of down the rabbit hole coronavirus stuff, but there's one or two things that I think are sort of important to read. I was reading an article that's been shared around on Facebook by a chap who is an intensive care. I don't know if he's a nurse. He works in intensive care. I think he was an intensive care nurse, but I'm not sure. But it was actually shared on the South Wales Argus, which is the local paper. But he got COVID-19 and he was describing his experience having it. But also he had subsequently been treating patients before he was symptomatic. He doesn't actually think that he caught it from the patients. He thinks probably just like the patients did, he probably caught it in his everyday life, because actually he's like, I'm actually better prepared when I'm dealing with patients to sort of protect myself from illness than I am when I'm out and about. But anyway, we're not contact tracing, so there's no way to know. But he said that it started with a strange burning sensation in the back of his nose and throat. He didn't have much of a cough, and he didn't actually have a particularly high fever, but he just sort of for a few days felt really achy and sleepy. He said he was like sleeping like 16 to 18 hours a day. He was really rough, and now he's bouncing back from it, but he's not allowed back to work yet. But he has seen people in work with it, and obviously working in intensive care, they've been in pretty dire straits, and he just wanted to say to everybody, do not underestimate how sick this can make you, and it doesn't matter if you are ill. You could be ill with it. Like if you're ill, if you're young, you could be really ill with it. He didn't actually say his age, but he looked like he was in his 40s. He doesn't look like he's a particularly older gentleman, and there are people out there who are getting it when they are young. You don't have to have an underlying health condition to get ill with this. If you do have an underlying health condition, chances are you're going to have an even worse time with it. But there are perfectly otherwise healthy people getting this and having a really, really bad time with it. It's not a guarantee that if you are old, you'll die, and if you're young, you'll bounce back. Because actually another positive thing, though, there was a lady, I think in Italy, I think it's 98, and she's been declared fully recovered, which is amazing. So it's not a death sentence if you are in one of the risk groups, but it's also not a free pass if you're not. So everybody, if you're not, like, I would like to think that everybody's taking it seriously anyway, because even if you're fit and healthy, you must have relatives or loved ones or friends who are in risk groups, or if they would get it, they'd have, like, if you're not scared about getting it for yourself, then at least try your best not to get it so that you don't pass it on to somebody you care about. But even if you're not caring about it for other people's sake, then don't feel like you've got a free pass, because anybody could get it. It's very infectious, and it seems like you could be really, really sick with it even if you're otherwise fit and healthy. A friend of mine knows somebody who's around about our age, so in his 30s, otherwise fit and healthy, sports instructor. He's in intensive care with it. And I'm hearing quite a lot of stories like that. And when we're not testing enough people, and when we're only really hearing about the hospitalised cases, it's easy to forget that actually people might be at home very, very sick with this, and they just haven't been sent to hospital, because actually, unless they need a ventilator, there isn't a lot that can be done. And if you're at home with it and you've got family with you who can look after you, I think that's basically what they're advising you to do, is just stay home and ride it out unless you get to the point where you can't breathe, and then that's the point which you might need to come in. which is scary. That's scary stuff and should not be underestimated. And there are still people out there who aren't really taking this seriously. Which I like I've said before, I do get it. I get not taking it seriously because you don't want to, because then it becomes sort of real. And that's fine. You can make jokes about it, make light about it. The memes right now that are going around are absolutely brilliant. I'm living for the memes right now, because I think finding a way to make light of a horrible situation is really therapeutic, as long as you are also doing the right things in the background. You can make whatever terrible twisted jokes you like, find the funnies wherever you can find them, as long as you're not making the problem worse by spreading this or by acting like, oh, well, I'm fine, because you might not be. But even if you are, somebody else might not be, and it might be your fault, so don't be a dick.
But speaking of people not taking it seriously enough, yesterday we were talking about how people in France didn't all react as quickly as they might have done to lockdown and were still hanging out in parks and things, and we were kind of glad it wasn't just us Brits that were doing it. And today we got sent a quote from your mum, didn't we?
Yes, I love this.
And this is from the diary.
It's weirdly comforting.
This is from the diary of Samuel Pepys, famous diarist.
So 1664 this was written, just for some context.
On hearing ill rumour that Londoners may soon be urged into their lodgings by Her Majesty's men, I looked upon the street to see a gaggle of striplings making fair merry, and no doubt spreading the plague well about. Not a care had these rogues for their health, for the health of their elders. So,
spreading the plague well about they were.
And basically doing what people are doing today. Like,
what a gaggle of striplings.
Still going about and socialising when they should be staying at home. So again, it's people from the past were just as bad as people now.
Yeah, I did take a weird sort of sense of comfort from that. And I think when my mum sent it to me, I just sent her back the message, just like, good to know that there have always been and will always be idiots.
What I will say is that if you look back at reports of the Great Plague...
it was great. Great plague it was.
There's very little evidence of people going, oh, well, they all overreacted, and it was a bunch of snowflakes. People pretty much agree that it was bad and a lot of people died and it was all fairly bleak and horrible. And so any precautions you can take, we should take. We're getting up to half an hour.
Oh, crikey. Well, this one's flown.
Yeah, I had one more thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah, go for it.
Anything else you wanted to mention?
I think I've covered the one or two bits that I wanted to say.
Okay.
We'll go for it.
Well, the one thing I want to mention is if you're a fan of the TV show Taskmaster...
this is good.
You'll know that Alex Horne is one of the co-hosts of that, and if you don't know it, they get comedians to perform random silly tasks.
I think you can recap on iPlayer.
Yes,
and if you
it's
should.
It's not on iPlayer, but it's on Dave, and they've got their own
it's brilliant.
app.
It's
and
one
it's
of
on
our
their
favourite
website.
things. I love it.
So yeah, check it out. It's really, really funny. So that's just a recommendation for a good
that's
thing
a great
to watch
binge watch for now anyway. But to
also,
participate.
One of the co-hosts, Alex Horne, and he's the creator of the show, has started putting up challenges on Twitter so that people can put their own attempts at the challenge, film it, make a video that's under a minute, upload it to Twitter, and he's going to put his favourite ones on his YouTube channel. So you just have to go on his Twitter, find out what the challenge is.
What was the hashtag? Home task?
The hashtag is home tasking. Hashtag home tasking. If you upload a video, or if you just want to watch other people's attempts, then use that hashtag to search, and you can see some of the really creative things people have been doing.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I only glanced through, and I laughed out loud several times, and I was like, that's brilliant. And people are all doing it at home with their phone without any bells and whistles, although there are one or two people out there who've got a bit of an edge because they're really good at video editing, but you don't have to have that. There's some people being really creative and really having a good time with it, and particularly I think that's a good one to do, especially if you are on your own, because it feels very interactive and also kind of silly. It's really good fun, and if nothing else, it will put a bit of a smile on your face.
I'm not very good at video editing, but Ellie kindly implied that added to the charm of my bit. And you can find that at my Twitter at Mr. Chris Chopping. But if you want to check that out, but as I say, there's loads of different ones out there, so well worth having a look at some of the creative
stuff. Cool.
Right.
Okay, I think that's just about us done. If you are enjoying these, as we've said before, please do pop us some comments. We're getting like a modest number of views, which I like, but also more than I expected. Like, I think, to be honest, the fact that they're reaching double figures is slightly baffling me, but I like it. So if you are enjoying it, share it around. A couple of people have sort of said that it feels like having a chat with some friends. So if you do want to have that sense, or if you think other people might, then share it around, comment and stuff. Look after yourselves, follow the rules, don't be dicks, and when this is all over, pick any other pub than Wetherspoons to go for a pint, because they can bugger off.
Don't be dicks, guys.
Don't be dicks, guys. There's enough dicks out there already.
Get your giant mugs and sportswear from another retail chain.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, nobody needs them. Let's just stop with that. The massive mugs thing.
Yeah.
I think we might be diverging into other things we dislike.
We can all just do our sport in our vest and pants like we'd forgot our PE kit at school. It's fine. It was fine then. It's fine now, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get my daps elsewhere. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. Okay, I think that's us done for this evening. So like I say, get your daps elsewhere, guys. Right. Bye.